You know, most days I'm pretty blessed to talk about something I find interesting or cool, but today is not one of those days. Recently, my son was laid to rest, and suddenly people just want to piss on his grave too. Why not, right? I was a big supporter of the Vita. A lot of you guys know that. I was super vocal about how great I thought this system was. It just died, in my opinion, because of the lack of Western support, a lack of AAA level supports, and on top of all of that, the memory card issue that came with this system did not help it at all. And there's proof in the pudding that handheld gaming still lives on, because the Switch is doing quite well for itself. I mean, you can just look at the Black Friday sales and see that people are interested in this type of console. Granted, it's a hybrid, so you can dock it, play it on your TV, but there are great games on the system on top of that, but still the core concept is handheld, on the go, or dock it at home. So naturally, I wasn't pleased when I found an article from IGN saying that PlayStation's no longer going to be supporting handheld gaming, and obviously this isn't permanent for the entire future for the rest of our lives, but it is their plan moving forward. We'll talk about whether or not this is a smart idea, as well as some additional comments from prior Sony representatives and the future of handheld gaming in general. PlayStation Vita was brilliant in many ways, and the actual gaming experience was great. But clearly, it's a business that we're no longer in now, Ryan said. Why am I doing this to myself? His words parallels those of Jack Tretton, former CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment America, when he spoke to IGN about the PS Vita back in 2016. Now that I don't work there anymore, I think internally it was, this is a great machine, it's just too late. The world has shifted to portable devices that aren't dedicated gaming machines, Tretton said. So a lot of people sort of attributed the death of the PS Vita to the fact that people didn't want dedicated gaming consoles. They'd rather play on their phones where you can text your friends, go on social media, and fire up a decent game. We've seen a lot of mobile games thrive. They generate a ton of revenue. Everyone has a phone, so you know that there's a base there constantly.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
And as long as you price your games fairly or you monetize them in a way that can entice people to spend, it is a huge amount of revenue that you can possibly gain. But I've always been a believer that if Sony created something like the Switch, except it was PlayStation, that it would maybe hold back the tech like we saw with the Switch, but it would lead to some innovation with the companies. It would actually work. I always thought they were crazy enough to maybe do it again. It seems that is not the case. We also have one other additional comment. In fact, it's the same sentiment that Sony has been spreading at least as far back as 2015. Back in September of that year, then SCE Worldwide Studios president Shuhei Yoshida said that a successor to the PS Vita would be unlikely, as the climate is not healthy due to the dominance of mobile gaming. As I was saying, not a really huge surprise there. The reason that this is actually news is because very recently Sony had trademarked what looked to be a new PlayStation portable system, a Vita 2, if you will. It had the same sort of wide setup, we'll say, of the Nintendo Switch, but it had the arms, if you will, of a PlayStation controller. It looked really appealing, and it looked like something that Sony should really go forward with, but I guess they have it patented in case they want to go back to that. It's always better to be safe than sorry in these situations. Have the patent ready to go in case the handheld section of gaming is rejuvenated. I think that if Sony really dedicated some actual resources to the Vita instead of leaving it to die as quickly as they did, they would probably be singing a different tune. What we're seeing here is a lot of blaming on mobile gaming, but once again, yes, this is a hybrid console and it does have fantastic support. I think that does a lot of the pushing of the sales, but at the end of the day, this console is used for handheld gaming too, and I personally use it predominantly that way. I can't speak for everybody else, but this is a handheld console and it has found immense success. Now, if you're like me and you want something handheld constantly, whether you're attached to the past or you're just like me and enjoy laying in bed and just playing a good game, I will have you know that there is this new Game Boy / Game Boy Color / Game Boy Advanced support system coming out called Analog Pocket. It's coming in 2020. It's got an LCD screen. It looks slick as hell. And just as I said, it can play Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games, pretty much all of them. And as someone who just bought a Game Boy Advance this year, look at it, isn't it so cute? I mean, I love it, but I'm kind of pissed off because now I'm gonna buy this too, and I already just bought this. Still, just know that handheld isn't quite dead yet, and I think that there is a more nostalgic market that's gonna be served through this. And quite honestly, this is a bullet to any kind of Game Boy Classic that I think a lot of people speculated on, because Nintendo's been doing the SNES Classic, NES Classic for the holiday season. Anyway, just a short rant. I always like to give tributes to the Vita, let people know I've always been a big supporter of it, and I like to talk about news for it when it pops up. Obviously, I did not talk about it when its life cycle was winding down, because even though I joked a lot about how much I loved it, it came as no surprise to me. I tried so hard though. I tried so hard to let people know, like, hey, the Vita's great. Go buy one. Go make this thing happen. But I only have so much of a voice with that kind of stuff. So I leave it to you, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of this news? What do you think of the future of handheld gaming? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. A big thank you to all the patrons for making these types of videos possible, fueling my Vita love. Very much appreciated, each and every single one of you. And I'll catch you guys next time. Do consider supporting my Patreon, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.